There you go. I got it now. Salakia for that. What I was saying is that you got a lot of people that think that these little countries are going to defeat the beast. The Most High, he put the beast to rule this earth for a certain amount of time for a reason. You got sound now? Let me know if you got sound. Hit a one. Give me some signal to let me know you got sound. I think it should be all right now. I don't know why it does this, man. But nobody defeats the beast, man. And nobody's going to go against this beast and win. When I say the beast, I'm talking about who the Most High set up to rule this earth. Let me see if I got any sound. Let me check my phone. It should be all right now. I don't know why. Yeah, there you go. You got sound. So I don't know, what brothers and sisters are reading, but check this out real quick. Check this out because I don't got much time. Check this out.
Venezuela's president has a warning for the United States. If you mess with our country, you're messing with all of South America. President Nicolas...
Didn't Iran say something like this not too long ago? Didn't Iran say, America, we're going to do this and that? And in the end, they would then put down on their back, and then Iran still ran off with the mouth as though they won that war. You are not going to defeat the beast unless the Most High sanctions it. The water, brother. Not going to happen, but check it out.
Maduro made those comments in a rare news conference on Monday amid the buildup of U.S. naval forces in the Caribbean. Officials in Washington say ships are moving into the region to combat drug trafficking, allegedly linked to Venezuela.
This is a whole bunch of crap. They all are selling drugs, man. America buys drugs and fuels its economy through those drugs under the table. What do you think the Iran-Contra thing was about? Even though I'm not saying it happened because I did at least three videos on this subject, and my page got shadow banned. It was taken down when I went into the Mercury News story. It was taken down after that when I went into the CIA involvement. But here, check out what this is saying. This is the opposite of what I'm saying. But we're going to read between the lines today. It says the Iran-Contra affair involved the illegal diversion of funds from secret arms sales to Iran to the Contra rebels in Nicaragua. And the scandal also included allegations, check it out, allegations, though untimely, unsubstantiated, we're going to go with what they're saying, that the Contras engaged in drug trafficking to finance themselves. Now, we all saw the movie or the series, Snow. I think it's called Snowfall. Great series. And it kind of touched on this episode that we're reading now. They kind of touched on it. But because the media is controlled by the powers that be, the beasts, because the media is controlled by the powers that be, the beast, you're only going to get certain portions of truth. You got to figure out the rest on your own. I'm not saying that what I'm saying is the truth. I'm not saying what I'm saying is a lie. You do the research, you figure it out on yourself, because they flag my channel multiple times every time I touch on this subject. The Clintons, abortion, Haiti, child trafficking, the sales of body parts. Whenever you touch on those issues, your page is shadow banned or taken down. But anyway, they claim that this was a false allegation and it's not true. You be the judge yourself. It says through untimely, unsubstantiated, that the Contras engaged in drug trafficking to finance themselves, with claims that the U.S. government, entities were unaware of a potentially involved in these operations, were aware of and potentially involved in these operations. While the official investigations found no conclusive evidence of direct U.S. government complicity in drug trafficking, the controversy surrounding these allegations, particularly in 1996 series by Gary Webb, who mysteriously was killed, this journalist, in the San Jose Mercury News. I actually subscribe to their paper too. Highlight the shadowy connections between the drug traffickers and the Contra networks. They said they were the Contras were being financed through drug sales on black people, mainly in the LA area. This is where you get the Rick Ross story at. But they say it's not true, so we're going to go with that. And then we're not going to go with that. We're going to touch on it, but we're not going to touch on it. See what this says. Wikipedia was just a dream. Oh, they won't let me get in there. But you get where I'm going. You get where I'm going, man. So, let me see if this one opens up. In 1996, Gary Webb wrote a series of articles published in the San Jose Mercury News, which investigated Nicaraguans linked to the CIA-backed Contras who had smuggled cocaine into the U.S., which was then distributed as crack cocaine into Los Angeles and funneled profits to the Contras. So you had people in the Contras or Central America who was financing their war through cocaine crack trafficking on the backs, souls, and blood of black people. And this writer claimed that the U.S. CIA was involved. When you get a chance, watch the movie, the series Snowfall. Very interesting. Very interesting. They watered this part of it down a bit, but very, very interesting. You understand? They did a movie on this guy too. It was weak and watered down as well on Gary Webb. But look him up and look up his story. It's very interesting. But the powers that be does not want this to come out. Trust me. You know, his articles asserted that the CIA was aware of the cocaine transactions and the large shipments of drugs into the U.S. by the Contra personnel and directly aided drug dealers to raise money for the Contras. The Los Angeles Times, the New York Times, and the Washington Post launched their own investigations and rejected Webb's allegations. So you know who controls the Washington Times and the New York Times. You know what it is. You know what it is. Come on, the Mercury News is a small newspaper, which I'm subscribed to. Check it out when you get a chance. But I'm not going to go too deep into this because they're going to flag a channel again, possibly. But you got to look into that. You got to look into that. Here it says, in October 2013, an American television network, Fox News, alleged that the CIA operatives were involved in the kidnapping and murder of DEA covert agent in... No, that's something else. That's completely different. That's completely something different. But you get the point where I'm going. But so I'm bringing this up to show you that even though we're reading this story, these allegations, that we can't take as wholeheartedly truth what's happening there in Venezuela. All these guys are dirty. Every one of these guys are dirty. And if you think that Trump is going to tug on the heartstrings of Americans, tug on the heartstrings of brothers and sisters, and the world is going to turn beautiful again, or it's going to turn righteous, you are out of your minds. You're out of your minds. This whole system is corrupt. So this dude, he has a $5 million contract on his head from Trump in the USA because they're dirty. The same way strongman, what was his name? Dude from Panama, I forgot his name. Manuel something. But the same way all of these leaders in these small countries and even big countries look like they have power and they're in control. They don't. They don't have power. the powers that be, the secret society, the globalists, whatever you want to call them, Illuminati, these are the people who really run the show. These people can do nothing that they want to do. So let's look at this garbage, and you decide. Check it out.
But President Maduro has not taken kindly to the show of force, calling it the biggest threat seen in South America in a century.
8 military ships with 1,200 missiles and a nuclear submarine are targeting Venezuela. This is an extravagant, unjustifiable, immoral, and absolutely criminal, bloody threat. They have wanted to escalate what they call maximum pressure, which in this case is military. And in response to maximum military pressure, we have declared maximum preparedness for the defense of Venezuela.
Michael Shifter is a senior fellow at the Policy Forum Inter-American Dialogue, and he joins me now from Washington. Appreciate you being with us.
My pleasure. Thank you.
So why are US warships heading toward Venezuela? What's the likely plan, and how long would you expect this fully loaded US flotilla to remain off the coast of that?
Until they get the drug deals straightened out. That's what it was. You understand? The dude I was mentioning was Manuel Noriega. You remember Noriega. And what they're saying is that Noriega was working for the CIA and they were moving drugs through Panama. And for some odd reason, Noriega got beside himself. Noriega stopped following orders, and that's tapping into the money. That's hitting them in their pockets with the money. So they're saying that this is just one reason that they had to push the invasion in Panama. It says Manuel Noriega was never officially the president of Panama. Instead, he was an unelected military dictator who ruled Panama from 1983 to 1981 through a series of puppet presidents. He held the position of military leader of Panama, amassing a personal fortune through drug trafficking. Noriega was eventually removed from power by a U.S. invasion in December 1989. By a U.S. invasion in 1989. It's funny that this guy that they're trying to get in Venezuela is a problem. It's funny how they're trying to put a price tag on his head to get him out of the way, and he just seems like probably a puppet of the government, this government, or some power that be. You don't believe me? Let's go all the way back to 1989. Let's go all the way back to 1989. Let's go here for real quick. It says there's no specific Panamanian drug cartel, but foreign and transnational criminal organizations use Panama as a major transit point for moving illicit narcotics. Could that be the same thing in Venezuela? Could the same thing be happening in Venezuela? Was that the issue in Iran and Iraq and countries abroad for oil and poppy seeds related to Afghanistan? See, I don't believe this man is just a normal man. I don't believe this man is just a fly-by-night ruler. I believe the Most High created this man to be the physical arm of the devil on this earth. And a lot of the truths that has been hidden for so long is now coming out. They're coming out. So Panama was a major conduit or point of trafficking for drugs under Noriega. Says illicit narcotics from South America to North America, Europe, and other locations. The U.S. government worked closely with Panama. The U.S. government works closely with Panama to counter drug trafficking through intelligence, sharing military cooperation, law enforcement training, and coordinated interdiction efforts. So now, the issue back then was drugs. And the issue now with this guy that they going after seems to be drugs. Drugs keep America moving. They say that Duncan keeps America moving. No, drugs, cocaine, or whatever drugs are on demand. That's what keeps America going. That's what keeps America going.
That country.
Well, I think it's a matter of speculation about exactly why they're there. The stated reason is to combat drug trafficking. And the president of Venezuela, Nicolas Maduro, has been labeled a narco-terrorist by the Trump administration. And so this is the stated rationale.
There you go. There you go. You think America is not involved in that? You think America is not involved in that? You're crazy if you don't think America is involved in that. Let's go all the way back to 1989. A very great video. I mentioned it some months back. It's called The Panama Deception. Watch this on YouTube when you get a chance. But check this out. Same thing, but in this case, America invaded Panama. They don't expect America to invade Venezuela, but in this case, America invaded Panama. They believed that Panama was theirs and it was given to them. And they were taking it back. They gave it back to Panama and they was taking it back. But drugs, I believe, played a heavy, heavy role in the invasion of Panama. And so ships can save a lot of time by going through the canal. But you better believe drugs is a heavy, heavy business in America and all throughout the world.
I saw helicopters approaching. They were close. The lights went out and the helicopters began to shoot.
People were running left and right without direction, without knowing where they were going. It wasn't just machine gun fire. They were bombs. The noise was frightening.
This is America. This is America attacking Panama. Not attacking Iran or Iraq. Not attacking Russia, which is a superpower. Not attacking Germany or some country abroad with power or enough firepower to shoot back. This is America attacking Panama. The beast.
You could hear gunfire coming from all directions and a strange noise that we had never heard before. People were frightened, running, wondering what was going on. The sky was completely red, and there was a tremor you could feel throughout the city.
The invasion was swift, intense, and merciless. When it was over, thousands lay dead and wounded, and the country was in shambles. Millions of U.S. tax dollars were swallowed up in 3 days of brutal violence. The strategy was considered a stunning military and political success.
The operation continues.
In many ways, the invasion served as a testing ground for the Persian Gulf War 1 year later.
The Persian Gulf 1 year later. 1 year later, they said that they were looking for weapons of mass destruction. And there was no weapons of mass destruction. They laid Iraq back to the days of a Stone Age. They dropped so many bombs on Iraq and killed innocent men, women, and children over a lie. How can you say this man is not the beast or the physical arm of Shaitan on this earth? How can you convince anybody that these are God-fearing people and they're not of the children of Esau who was prophesied to live by the sword? They carry Bibles, but in their hearts are swords. One scripture that comes to mind is Isaiah 26, verse 10, about this man will not change. This man will not change. It says here, this scholar, he gives a breakdown of Isaiah 26:10. You guys are familiar with the verse. The verse says, Isaiah 26:10 says, though the wicked are shown compassion. This is the NIV version he's quoting from. Though the wicked are shown compassion, they do not learn righteousness. Even in a land of uprightness, they go on doing evil and do not regard the majesty of the Lord. It says NIV, this verse contrasts God's judgment on the wicked with his promise for the righteous, highlighting the wicked person's unresponsiveness to grace and their persistent, unrepentant pursuit of evil, even when surrounded by goodness. So this man cannot change. It says, though the wicked are shown compassion, they do not learn righteousness, it says. He's relating this to the actual verse. They will not learn righteousness even if they're shown compassion. The same people who once occupied Panama in the 1400s, the same people who occupied the Dominican Republic, the island of Puerto Rico, or the Mexicans, they welcomed the Europeans historically with open arms, showing them how to cultivate land. And what did they receive in turn? They showed them much compassion. And what did they receive in return? They received diseases. They received being butchered. They received their women being sexually violated, their children smashed against trees and fed to dogs. Look this history up. This is what they received in turn. But it says, here's a breakdown of the verse. It says, though the wicked are shown compassion, they do not learn righteousness. Even when offered grace and kindness, the wicked refuse to change their ways and embrace what is right. The Europeans came to this land as Christians or Catholics, if you want to go that route. But in their hearts was greed, violence, and murder. Even in the land of uprightness, they go on doing evil. Despite living in an environment where righteousness is prevalent and encouraged, they continue their wicked actions, suggesting a hardened heart. Look at the man who calls himself an Israeli. These are supposed to be the men of God or the children of God, which we know that's not true. We know that we are the children of God, but they claim to be in the Torah, they claim to be in the Talmud or whatever the hell they read, and they claim to be the children of God. And look at the evil that they have done to the people on the Gaza Strip. Look at the evil that they finance through the slave trade. Look at the evil that's happening in corporations and real estate all over the world through the same people who claim to be the children of God. How do you explain this unless they are the physical arm of negative or darkness that the Lord is talking about? Don't tell me I'm being evil or hateful. Don't tell me that, because that doesn't make any sense. That makes no sense. Even in the book of Revelations, it says this. It says this in the book of Revelations. Check this out, because I'm kind of stressed for time. In the book of Revelations 6 and 8. Make sure 6 and make sure. Yeah, 6 and 8. It says, and I looked and behold a pale horse. This is the Most High's judgment. And something to look into and to consider. Consider what we're reading. And I looked and behold a pale horse, and his name that sat upon him was Death. And his name that sat upon him was Death. Horses travel and carry people of war. Horses trample people in small villages and carry a man of war. Horses are symbolic of power, and the man, in this case, that's on the horse was death. Now, you saw what happened in Panama. I believe that was 89. And then he said a year later, you saw what happened in Iraq, and you saw what happened in Iran, and you see what's happening in the Gaza Strip. You see what's happening in this country. You see what's happening all over the world. Who is the man that fits the best description of death on a white horse or a pale horse? Who? Maybe I'm just making it up. Maybe I'm being racist. Shalom, Lisa. Who does that fit? Tell me, who does that fit? Who fits the man of death on the pale horse when it came to the North American Indians? Who fits the man of death on the pale horse when it came to the Aborigines in Australia or the people in Hawaii? And I looked, and behold, a pale horse, and the name that sat on him was death. And hell followed with him, and power was given unto him over the fourth part of the earth to kill with the sword. To kill with the sword, and with hunger, and with death, and with the beasts of the earth. So only one man can give that kind of power, and that's the Most High. So in these last days, we're being shown how to not only serve the Most High, because it's not just about serving the Most High. It's about maintaining that service of the Most High and being clear-headed while you're serving the Most High. And that is why I mentioned when I opened up, in this morning, and every morning I read 10 verses each of this because I'm kind of studying through it to put it in my spirit. Psalms 71 verse 1. Because these are the times we're in where the beasts and the devil shall come down on you with great wrath, knowing he has but what? A short time to live. Psalm 71 verse 1, it says, in thee, O Lord, do I put my trust. Let me never be put to confusion. Never let me be put to confusion. This is why the Lord talks about confusion of faces in the scriptures. Meaning the Most High would hit us with confusion of faces, meaning confuse us to the point where we no longer can function as a ruling body on this earth. You understand? So in the mind of the confused, they think that this is okay. They think nothing is wrong with this. If you're a man, you want to be a woman, there's nothing wrong with this. But God, he don't see that. He don't respect this. In this world, this is okay. It's your body. You can abort. You can terminate. You can delete God's gift to you. In America, anything goes. In America, it's the place to be where the sinners are winners. This is condoned in America. So when you learn righteousness and start teaching the righteousness and you studying your Bible and you showing people the ins and outs of the Most High, people get mad when you show them who they are. When you show people that they are the children of Esau, a certain people, when you show a certain people that we are the chosen of the Most High and God is in favor of his chosen, which is the so-called blacks, Native and Hispanics, of Negro and Indian descent, that's an issue. That's an issue. So when the man sees the prophecies starting to fulfill themselves, the powers that be, the beast that's as of death and hell follows him, he needs to do something to eradicate God's true chosen people. You know what that is? Blum. He needs to find a way to eradicate God's people. You know what he does? Blum. He needs to find a way to destroy the black woman as the goddess of this earth, the mother of this earth. So what does he do? Blum. Makes her into a whore. makes her into a whore. Makes the black man feminine and overly emotional. And what does that breed? Confusion and depression. This is why we just read, do not, Lord, put me to confusion. He looks very confused. Look at him. He looks confused. He does not have the spirit of the Most High. And unfortunately, that's the way or position of a lot of our people. So back here, it says, in thee, O Lord, do I put my trust, not in the beast or the dragon, but the Most High. Let me never be put to confusion. Deliver me in thy righteousness and cause me to escape. And cause me to escape. Incline thy ears unto me and save me, O Yahweh, the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, the true and living God. You following me? Does this make sense? Because I think this makes sense. I think this makes perfect sense. That's what I think. I think this is logical. So going back, what are we going to believe? Because here we started off where it says there are no specific Panamanian drug cartels, but foreign and transitional criminal organizations use Panama as a major transit point for moving illicit narcotics from South America to North America, Europe, and other locations. Are we to believe this? That the CIA is not complicit in drug trafficking? That this government has nothing to do with drug trafficking and profiting off of drug trafficking? I'm just going by what they say, but you do the heavy lifting mentally and figure it out for yourself. Then we went here earlier. In 1996, Gary Webb wrote a series of articles published in the San Jose Mercury News, which investigated Nicaraguans linked to the CIA-backed Contras who had smuggled cocaine into the U.S. I'm not going to read more because they're going to flag the channel. But you get the gist of where I am going. Then we went into Panama. We went to Panama with the Panama Deception video, which is a great video. When you get a chance, watch that video. Watch the video. Let's go back here. Let's watch a little bit more of this.
It is also an indication of the kinds of intervention the United States may undertake in the years to come. But still, big questions remain. What exactly happened during the invasion of Panama, and why?
This is the CBS Evening News. Dan Rather reporting. Good evening. More than 20,000 U.S. soldiers and Marines launched their attack in the early morning darkness, backed by swarms of helicopters.
As the invasion unfolded, Americans stayed glued to their TVs and newspapers for coverage. But how much of the real picture did the media give them?
The performance of the mainstream news media in the coverage of Panama has been just about total collaboration with the administration.
There you go. So the last two articles we read, how true are those articles? As far as the U.S. involvement and the CIA involvement, the articles are claiming that the U.S. had nothing to do with that. But we know the greed and the mindset of Esau. We know how Esau lies and hides behind the lies, but the other nations like Iran and Iraq and people in the Middle East, they recognize the lies. This is why they call America what? The great Satan. They call Israel the little Satan. The press and the media is controlled by the powers that be. You know this. You know this. This is why Psalm 71 and 91 is very important. It's important that we hide under the shadows and wings of the Most High and let all hell break loose, man.
Not a critical murmur, not a critical perspective, not a second thought.
The story that the White House was pushing was getting this so-called narco-terrorist in a net. And that was the thrust of all of the coverage. When are we going to get Noriega? Have they let Noriega get away?
By late today, they had taken control of much of the country, but their chief target, General Manuel Noriega, escaped.
Strongman Noriega. I remember that back in the days. Just call him Strongman Noriega. Then I started reading about him having ties to the CIAs. Didn't they say that Osama bin Laden had ties to the CIA? Didn't they say that? Or is that not common knowledge today? You have to start thinking, because as time goes on, America and the powers that be are being exposed and they're losing their power.
Manuel Noriega belongs to that special fraternity of international villains, men like Gaddafi, Idi Amin, and the Ayatollah Khomeini.
Gaddafi! Didn't Gaddafi try to push his dinar, his own currency, among Africans? And then that would be a slap in the face in America that would downplay or weaken the US dollar or the petrodollar? Isn't BRICS now a threat to America in terms of weakening the American dollar and the petrodollar? And now Trump and the powers that be, it ain't really just Trump. Trump is just a puppet. Trump is just a puppet. But the fact that the BRICS nations are coming together to formulate their own currency and swap and do dealings among themselves with oil and powers and things they need in the world, that's a threat. So somebody has to die. Somebody has to die. They're going through a list of different people who either work for the U.S. in drug trades and sales, or that is a direct enemy of America and trying to break off from America and weaken America. And when you do that, you're put to death. Your videos are shadow banned. You're flagged. You see where I'm going? Makes sense?
Whom Americans just love to hate. The White House announced a $1 million reward for his capture.
Today, the Justice Department said
A $1 million reward for Strongman Noriega in 1989. This guy that they're going after now, this guy, he has, what, a $5 million reward on his head? This guy in Venezuela? $5 million. $5 million. I'm sorry for jumping around so much. Check it out.
Joining us now is Secretary of Defense Pete Hegseth. Pete, good morning to you, first of all.
Good morning.
Good morning. So the president
Great to see you all.
Good to see you too. Thanks for your service. The president put that video of him eviscerating, blowing up that boat coming across with all of the drugs on board. And the president said on social, on Truth Social, let them be on notice to anybody bringing drugs to the U.S. Beware. So the president.
What a crock of SH, man. What a crock of SH. These guys has been bringing in drugs into this country and working with the drug dealers since day one. Since day one. They want this guy out so they can get power of Venezuela. And you're a fool if you can't see through that. This country has always been dirty, man. Always been dirty.
Is sending a message to other cartels, right?
A very clear one. I can tell you that was definitely not artificial intelligence. I watched it live. We knew exactly who was in that boat. We knew exactly what they were doing, and we knew exactly who they represented. And that was Tren de Aragua, a narco-terrorist organization designated by the United States, trying to poison our country with illicit drugs.
You hear this guy? You hear this guy, man? This is freaking unbelievable, man. Who can be this stupid? Who the hell can be this stupid, man? If you can't see who the devil is at this point, there's something wrong with you. There's something wrong with you if you can't see who the devil is at this point. Let's go back here to this idiot. Let's go back here to this guy. Let's go here. Check it out.
For the presence of this flotilla. But it really is extremely heavy, unusually heavy, unprecedented. So there's a lot of speculation that there may be other objectives in mind, including a strike, a military strike in Venezuela, or possibly even a taking out Maduro himself. So I think there's a lot of speculation about what's actually involved, and the flotilla will probably be there for a while, probably another couple of weeks.
And Venezuela's dictator Nicolas Maduro is claiming the U.S. plans to invade Venezuela. How likely is that, though? Even a limited strike, perhaps, on the...
I don't think they're going to invade. But now you have this issue with Venezuela. Then you had Trump talking about attacking the cartels in Mexico, and it all comes down to that money, man. It all comes right back to that money. And I'm not going to keep you brothers and sisters long. I got to go back to work. But I want to give you something to think about in this verse. This is the book of Revelation, the 13th chapter and the 4th verse. I got to go back to the devil myself. But it says, let me see. It says right here, Revelations. It says, and they worship the dragon, which gave power to the beast. And the beast today is Esau. And the dragon is Satan. In the same way we get power from the Most High to continue in the walk. The same way we get power from the Most High to see and to understand his will and his spirit. You got people on this earth, they get power from the beast. And the main people who get this power is the so-called, I got to be careful, I'm going to rephrase this, is Esau. You all know who Esau is, the W people. You understand? The ones mainly in power. I'm not talking about your average peons. I'm talking about the ones who are moving the drugs, destroying those who don't cooperate with how them drugs is being sold, moving weapons of mass destruction, destroying those who don't cooperate on how those weapons of mass destructions are being distributed. It says, and they worship the dragon, which gave power to the beast. The dragon gives power to the beast. And they worship the beast. Sorry. And they that worship the beast, who's that? The powers that be. The rulers. And the Most High talks about rulers in high places in Ephesians, right? Who gives them power? And who do they bow down to? The dragon. And they that worshiped the beast, who got power from the dragon, saying, this is what they say, who is like unto the beast? Who is able to make war with him? These little countries cannot go to war with the beast. The Most High put the beast in power for a certain reason, till he's ready to take down the beast. So stop talking about Iran and Iraq. They're going to go to war with America and they're going to win. Stop talking about Venezuela and Panama, which tried, they're going to win. It's going to happen in the time the Most High let it happen. Will it be dents in the machine? Yes, there'll be dents in the machine, but it's going to happen. Listen to me. It's going to happen in the time that the Most High ordains it to happen. Nobody's going to go against the beast and win unless the Most High sanctions it. Proof of that is on a lower level, so you can understand. Romans 13. Obey the powers that be. Why don't you go against, if that was the case, why can't we or anybody go against the powers that be and succeed? Because the Most High put the powers that be in a position of power for a reason. Farrakhan didn't take that money. Did Farrakhan? They took the money away from. Yeah, I think Farrakhan gave it back. I think. I'm not sure. But I remember that with Farrakhan. I remember that very well. But my point is, even Farrakhan, who probably is a Boule member, you're not going to defeat this beast. You're not going to defeat the beast unless the Most High, he sanctions it. Bottom line. The Most High, he is running the show. He's running the show, not us. We don't do what we want to do. The Most High, he's running the show. You understand? A little bit more of this before I go. Let me see, get this up. It says, boom. It says, third verse in Psalm 71, it says, be thou my strong habitation whereunto I may continually resort. You can't be a halfway Israelite. You can't be a halfway warrior in the Most High. You can't be a halfway daughter of Zion. You have to be continually in the resting place of the Most High, meaning his spirit. Be my strong habitation, whereunto I may continually resort. Thou hast given commandment to save me, for thou art my rock and my fortress. For thou art my rock and my fortress. Deliver me, O Yahweh, out of the hand of the wicked, out of the hand of the unrighteous and cruel man. The unrighteous and cruel man. Who is that? I'm not saying we can't be that way. You got a lot of unrighteous and cruel men among us, but who is the ultimate unrighteous and cruel man? Huh? Going back into the NIV and how they broke down Isaiah 26 verse 10, and the portion that says, even in the land of uprightness, they go on doing evil. It says, despite living in an environment where righteousness is prevalent and encouraged, they continue their wicked actions, suggesting a hardened heart. Suggesting a hardened heart. Who hardened that heart? The Most High. The Most High. So that's just something to think about. Fight the good fight, like the sister put. We fight against, there you go. There you go. Spiritual wickedness in high places, man. Watch that news. Watch that news and get understanding, because it's going down, man. It's going down. You think this man is evil? You haven't seen nothing. We forgot about Panama and the invasion. They said in the Panama Deception video, they had like a ray gun that was melting people in cars, weapons they never even seen before. That was in 1989. That was in 1989. Imagine what they have now. Imagine what they have now. So just something to think about. You brothers, you keep your heads on a swivel. You sisters do as well. Pray for me. I pray for you, and do righteousness and live righteously as much as possible. I'm out. Shalom.